Hello there. Welcome to Just the Dis. We talk about Blu-rays here. I've got a whole bunch of Kino stuff and Kino adjacent stuff to talk about, and I still got my bandage. I apologize. Check out my Pink Flamingos review for an explanation of that whole business. But anyway, a bunch of stuff to talk about here. Let me get into it. It's gonna maybe not be as in-depth as I like to be. But I really want to sort of make you guys aware of a lot of this stuff that's cool and interesting and coming from Kino this round. And I'm going to start with the Film Noir Dark Side of Cinema Volume 7, which is a nice set. It comes with The Fear Makers, Chicago Confidential, and The Boss. Now, I'll start with my favorite of this group, and that is The Fear Makers. And this one is directed by the great Jacques Tourneur, and it is a very interesting noir. I mean, it's a little different than it's more of the paranoid noir type thing, right? And this is my favorite in the set, I think. Brand new 2K master. Jacques Tourneur, Cat People Out of the Past, stars Dana Andrews, a young Mel Torme, and it's about an ex-soldier played by Dana Andrews who comes back from the Korean War, and he has been we're seeing him tortured at the beginning of the film. He comes back and he wants to rejoin the PR firm that he started with his buddy. Come to find out, his buddy turned over the firm to another guy and is in fact dead, and turned over his power of attorney to this guy. And Andrews is initially shocked and upset, and, they come to an agreement that he ultimately will work for the PR company, but mostly because he has a connection to a senator, and the PR company is now doing a lot of work with politics, which used to be something they stayed out of. It was strictly products. And so we get into sort of a propaganda plot, and it's a good little, paranoid thriller. And so I got a kick out of this one. I thought it was well put together. 85 minutes, it clicks right along, and Mel Torme is fun, and Dana Andrews is good, and yeah, I like this one. It has a film scholar commentary from Jason A. Nye, I want to say. That's how you pronounce his name. But yeah, this was my favorite of that whole group. Then we have The Boss from 1956. This was from 1958, if I didn't say it. So a later era. Jacques Tourneur, The Boss from 1958. This one stars John Payne, who I'm a big fan of and who has been in a lot of noirs. It's directed by Byron Haskin, who has done a good deal of noir work himself. I think He Walks Alone, Too Late for Tears. Those are two of my favorites of his. And this is sort of about a crusading politician who falls prey to the temptations of power. This is also a brand new 2K master. And it's like he's a... let's see here. Following World War I, ruthless veteran Matt Brody, John Payne, inherits the clout of his political kingpin brother and climbs the ladder of corruption all the way to the top of the state. And his amoral practices and sheer arrogance lead to broken friendships, romances along the way, based on real-life scandal of Kansas City Politico Tom Pendergast. So enjoyable, again, more politicky kind of stuff. John Payne is always solid, in my opinion. This one has a nice commentary from Alan K. Rohde, and I think I said brand new 2K master, as was Fear Makers. It doesn't say brand new 2K master on Chicago Confidential, which is the third in this set. So I'm not 100% sure this one's been remastered. But the other two did look really good for what it's worth. So Chicago Confidential is sort of a mob infiltrates powerful union kind of story, and it stars Brian Keith, Beverly Garland, Alicia Cook Jr. shows up. It's it's not bad, and I like this cast, and I think that really keeps it afloat. It's a fast-paced suspenser, and Brian Keith is the hard-nosed state's attorney. So anyway, no extra features on this one, but still enjoyable and rounds out another nice noir set from Kino. So that's first. Next up, we'll do a couple from Charles Bronson. First, we have Violent City. This is a Sergio Salima film. I think I first heard this recommended via a Tarantino Film Festival in Austin years ago. And it's sort of about a hitman who's double-crossed by his girlfriend and is almost killed, but escapes, and then sets out to seek revenge on the woman and the gang boss who put her up to it. And it's got Bronson, Telly Savalas as the baddie, Jill Ireland, of course, some Italian actors I wasn't as familiar with, but it's really solid. It's a really solid Bronson film, and I remember really digging it. And it's got multiple versions of the film. So you've got the City Violenta, the family version, and then Violent City. So two different cuts of the film. The family is the 1973 U.S. cut of the film. So you get two cuts, and then you get the Italian cut. Has a great score by Morricone, and just really solid. I really like this one. The ending is a mind blower. It's a really good ending. Not going to go anywhere near it. But as you can see, it has the two cuts. One is 109 minutes, one is 96 minutes, and these look good. It has an audio commentary by film historian Paul Talbot, author of Bronson's Loose books, which are great. And he's great as a Bronson commentator, just a very attentive, very New York sounding guy, and I always enjoy his tracks. But this one's real solid. If you're a Bronson fan and you haven't seen it, highly recommended. Highly recommended. And along with that comes Breakout, which is a Tom Grise film with Bronson. And, of course, as you can see, Jill Ireland again, this time Robert Duvall, Randy Quaid, John Huston. It's a good one. It's a guy who's sentenced to 28 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Only two things can get him out of jail. This is the tagline. A lot of money and Charles Bronson. A bush pilot is hired for $250,000 to go to Mexico to free an innocent prisoner. Duvall is the prisoner. Jill Ireland is sort of the girlfriend who's hiring him to go and get Duvall out. And so it's a prison break movie, and, it's fun. I dig it. It's gotten a release previously from, I want to say, Indicator put it out before. Doesn't mention anything about a new transfer, but you do get a commentary again from Paul Talbot. Nice slipcase. So a couple Bronson movies. Then we have Stunt Rock. This movie's a blast, and I've talked about it already on the channel via this Umbrella Entertainment Blu-ray, which I think might have a bit more in the way of features here. Yeah, I can't remember. I didn't fully double-check everything, but I believe this still has a good amount of stuff. So if you haven't picked up the Umbrella, this version is pretty great. It's newly restored in 4K. Now, this is also, I think it's the same scan, because this also says that. So, but super fun, goofy movie from Brian Trenchard Smith, great Australian action director. It's about stuntman Grant Page going to LA to work on a TV series and uses his spare time to lend his expertise to a rock band called Sorcery. And they are quite awesome. You can see them there. So it's part stuntman docudrama, part crazy metal show. It says Grant Page sort of helps the band develop pyrotechnic magic tricks for their show and sort of recounts his own exploits as a stuntman and a daredevil. So you get lots of crazy stunts, and it's just a blast. Like it's best seen with a crowd, I would say, but it's still like a really good time. And as I mentioned, it does have some features which I think all carry over from the umbrella. I don't think there's anything that's not on the umbrella. Commentary with Trenchard Smith and Grant Page and Margaret Trenchard Smith. Not Quite Hollywood interview with Brian Trenchard Smith. Not Quite Hollywood interview with Grant Page. Ultimate Rush conversation with Brian and Margaret Trenchard Smith. 2009 interview with Brian Trenchard Smith. Sorcerer lead guitar Smokey Huff and producer Marty Fink. 235-1. Newly restored in 4K, as I said. Good stuff. This one's from Scorpion, called Almost Summer. It's from 1978. Kind of a forgotten high school gem, although all the actors look a bit old to be in high school, if I'm being honest. But it's a nice one. It's got a soundtrack by Beach Boys frontman Mike Love, but it sounds like the Beach Boys. I can't remember what his band is called, but I don't know if it's technically the Beach Boys or not. Anyway, very Beach Boys sound, and it's carried throughout the film. Has a really solid cast. As you can see there, Bruno Kirby on the cover, Lee Purcell, John Friedrich, Didi Cohn, who was from Grease of the same year, Thomas Carter, Tim Matheson, who is pre-Animal House, and some other folks you might recognize. Bruno Kirby is like a sort of popular dude in his school, and he's set up this election, and he's decided that he's going to put a whole bunch of money on the election. And so he runs this candidate that he's found against his ex-girlfriend, played by Lee Purcell, and she gets him kicked out of the race, and he has to find a new candidate. And he finds John Friedrich, who, of course, would go on to do The Wanderers after this and some other stuff. I'm a fan of him. And Didi Cohn is kind of like into him. You know, she kind of has a crush on him. And so there's like this swirling love stories. There's the story of the election, and can Bruno Kirby get his new candidate? John Friedrich's character is like unknown, and nobody knows him at the high school, really. He's a low profile guy. Can he get him elected through whatever means? And, it gets kind of intense in terms of the election back and forth. But it's really fun, good soundtrack, good cast, and a very enjoyable, light comedy drama, high school movie. Good stuff. Then we got some sci-fi. We got Without Warning. This one also has been available before through Scream Factory, but this is a brand new 2K master, and it does look a little better. I did do a little comparison, and I think this version looks a little better. It's got the slipcase, and it's got the old artwork. This one is fun, goofy stuff from director Graydon Clark, who did a lot of schlocky movies, but it's obviously trying to capitalize on like some Star Wars and Halloween kind of things. Like it's a combination of a alien invasion thing and a slasher movie, because you have like teenagers, including a very young, well, I'm looking at the entire old cast here. Who's the young guy that stars in this? It's one of his first movies. It is David Caruso, of course. But what's really fun is this old guy cast. You have Jack Palance, you have Martin Landau, you have Neville Brand, you have Cameron Mitchell, and alien creatures are trying to kill everybody. And the biggest alien is played by Kevin Peter Hall, who would go on to play the Predator in some little film from the 1980s. But it's very schlocky. The alien has like these little sucker aliens that fly around and land on people's cars and suck on them, and it's goofy, fun stuff. Not a great movie, but I enjoy seeing older actors in this kind of context, and it does have some good, scary moments, if you will, and it looks better in this. But the features, I double-checked, I believe are everything from the Scream Factory, so you're not really getting any new stuff except a new transfer. So commentary by director Graydon Clark, Greg and Sandy's Alien Adventure, interviews with the actors Tara Nutter and Christopher S. Nelson, Independence Day, interview with cinematographer Dean Cundy. Oh yeah, shot by Dean Cundy. So that's awesome. They got the same cinematographer as Halloween, and it looks good. Producer versus Aliens, interview with co-producer Daniel Grodnick. Hunter's Blood, interview with special makeup effects artist creator Greg Cannon. Trailers from Hell with Mike Mendez. I think the Trailers from Hell is new, actually. So that's Without Warning. And then we have the UFO Incident with James Earl Jones and Estelle Parsons. This one's a little bit more serious, a little drier, based on a real incident. From 1975. Without Warning is from 1980. And this one's also a brand new 2K master. I wasn't aware of this film at all, but it's it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I like James Earl Jones films I haven't seen, but it's in the early 1950s. This couple undergo hypnosis, which unlocks memories of a forgotten event on this sort of lonely road, and soon they believe they were abducted by aliens. And so it's kind of going through that. It's, again, very docudrama, but not bad. You can get a sense of where it's going with just those two pictures there. And then we have an audio commentary by filmmaker, film historian Gary Girani, and Romantic Mysticism, the music of Billy Goldenberg, feature-length documentary by Gary Girani. So you got some nice features on that one, actually. And I think that's a Blu-ray debut. Next up, we have Savage Sisters. This is a Eddie Romero movie from 1974. He of a bunch of Filipino exploitation films, and this is a fun one. More enjoyable than most. Like, it's got that sort of women in prison thing, but also got kind of a Defiant Ones thing. It's got Sid Haig being creepy. John Ashley, he was a big star of the Eddie Romero movies. Eddie Romero would do a bunch of stuff like the Mad Doctor, Blood Island, Brides of Blood. He did what's the one that I really like with John Ashley? It's like the Twilight People. That's a really good one. But did a ton of films, this guy. And so this one's, it's got a fun, fast-paced vibe to it. And I like John Ashley. He's just kind of a schlubby dude that the girls that get out of this prison get hooked up with to try and, it's one of those sort of overthrow kind of things. Liberation Army kind of stuff. But I dug it. It's got an audio commentary from Horror Fix's James G. Chandler and Ash Hamilton. Not really my bag, that track, but new 2K master. It looks very good. It's a nice exploitation film of this ilk. If you like these kind of movies, this is actually one of the better ones, I think. Then we have Love Slaves of the Amazon. This is written and directed by Kurt Siodmak, who wrote The Wolfman. And this one is... it's a weird one. It's like thrilling Love Slaves of the Amazon. American archaeologist Don Taylor and his partner Eduardo Cianelli, mysterious Dr. Satan, are captured by a lost tribe of women warriors intent on turning the men into their love slaves. Together, another captive, Gina, they must escape the lustful clutches of the Amazons if they hope to return to civilization. Beautifully filmed on location in Brazil. This eye-popping, action-packed, I don't know about that, adventure features river pirates, alligators, snakes, exotic dancers, painted all green, by the way, and green-skinned beauties of the jungle. So a good commentary track by entertainment journalist Brian Reisman and Max Every. Well-researched, and I definitely dug that track. So this is one I hadn't heard of, 1957. Sort of the exotic vibe. Has a good loungy soundtrack, too. I think that might be all I can do for this round, but I will try and do some more Kino stuff. They've got a lot of cool stuff coming out, and I'd love to talk about more of it very, very soon. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye.